Hello everyone, I am Tacet and welcome to the Gems of War Invasions Week 19, Day 4. So of course we're mainly just going to be messing around with just a little bit of farming here. We have the Assassin class event, we have the last little bit of dungeons that we need to do, with the most noteworthy thing being in 6 hours and 52 minutes, which of course is tomorrow. We are getting a new faction. And that new faction will be pretty solid. It will be bringing in a 50% mana start to all elementals. It's going to be bringing in the first 4 times curse option, both on the exact same troop, oddly enough. And yeah, we're just getting the whole new delve, whole new event, and everything that corresponds with that. Every single new faction that we keep getting once a month. So yeah, we'll have that one in just several hours from now. Of course, we'll be covering that extensively tomorrow. And we'll be streaming in about 14 hours from now. But of course we can't yet, since timer's a timer, and can't get around to that now. We're mainly just going to mess with our dailies, mess with Assassin class. I don't need to do invasions because we're already done with it. If I go check it, we should have our orb just sitting there. And that's funny that it's the Salty Wrench. I'm pretty sure Salty had something to do with this. She just wanted to get a title that said Salty in it, probably. But hopefully this is a blue or purple. That is the exact opposite of a blue or purple. Unfortunate. But all we get is a green from that. Hopefully better luck next time. We still have gotten 0 major blues since we crafted Zugoff. I still don't own a single one. Of course the smaller ones are still nice. But yeah, we haven't gotten a single larger one yet, oddly enough. Though to a degree that's not as big a deal. I'd rather get major purples these days than major blues. But I don't know, major blues are still useful. Anyways, let's go and yeah, do all the other events that we need to go mess around with. First one probably being Assassin, for any of you that haven't done that yet already. Going to be relatively easy, or at least the way I'm going to be going with it is just going to be probably Dawnbringer into double yellow, just so we get some extra damage. But then again, we don't even necessarily need the extra damage. We could just also opt for extra mana. Let's see, what are the options we have? Could throw an Uryali in there. Though we're not really trying for score, so having a summon won't really matter. So obviously we need Tapon. Where's Tapon? So we'll do that so we can get reds immediately into our weapon. And from here we could put a safety Uryali into a Marilith. We could just go double Mariliths for the reds, or we can simply just go double yellows for the extra damage. Or we could even do a combination of both. Oh no, what do we want? 2 extra red mana or 4 extra damage to all enemies? I'm actually not even certain which one of those would even be more desirable. But if I had to guess, it'd probably be... Well, then again, why don't we mix both? Because it's still poison. So you know what, let's go with that then. So we still get a +1 red. We can still set our banner to even more red. So we'll set it to like +2 red, +1 yellow. And then boom, there we go. Where's that banner? Dragon's Claw banner, where are you? There it is. Okay, so yeah, we'll just roll with that then. That should be fine. Dawnbringer, Tapon, Marilith, Uryali. If you don't own Uryali, replace it with a second Marilith. And if you don't own Dawnbringer, just Mang down everything, or just use a red AoE weapon for the first few and then switch to Mang. But yeah, that should end up getting it done. We'll change our class to something that we need a level. So right now, that would most likely just be... we would get 5 less damage from doing this, but we'll go switch it to Shaman, wherever that is. I believe this gives green extra damage, but obviously that does not use green. Hello, where is Shaman? There we go. Luckily, the next hero class that's coming out does use blue, so we will be able to use it for stuff like this when we try passively leveling it. But for now, we'll go with this. Only thing at the moment that we really need a level that would fit in here. I guess technically we could have Assassin there, but we already maxed Assassin, so never mind. So yeah, we'll just roll with this. That should be fine for all 4 of the manas. Or I mean, all 4 of the battle sets. Yeah, we'll throw that down. And then we just simply Dawnbringer to Marilith to Dawnbringer. Or simply just Dawnbringer, that works too. Because we can use Marilith for extra damage. Can use Uryali too, but we're probably not going to get excess reds to... Or, you know, excess reds don't feed into her. So that's not really going to do much. We do have Tapon again, very nice. Nice little great start. Got it twice in a row. Didn't actually need the Marilith though as follow-up, but of course we can do that if we want to poke some. Actually, you know what? I should put that one in front. Move that back and put the Marilith there. Same as if you had double Marilith, you'd probably put them all in front of Tapon. You only need Tapon to cast once. Well, I guess maybe if you were doing the final battles, you'd probably put Tapon a little bit further up. But for these initial battles, if you're just doing the free battles, you might as well just put it all the way in the back. You're not going to need them for more than one cast. for the first 5 to 6 sets. Only the last few sets would end up needing him multiple times. All the earlier ones would win way before you would need him. Okay, and we'll just throw this into Marilith. Or actually, we don't even need any follow-up. It's already enough. Also, we already got 2 Val Ravens. We almost have more battles than we started with. We do. We started with 8 battles, and we're already at 9. We're somehow profiting sigils. That's pretty nice. Also, hello, everyone. Hello, William. Hello, Steve. Hello, Bakchan. Hello, Pitt. Hello, DeCrail. Hello, Candy. Hello, Goober. Hello, Original. Hello, William. Hope all of you have been doing good. And hope all of you are hyped for the new kingdom. Or the new faction, I should say. It's actually a good one for once. I forget what the layout is, how good that will be, or how bad that will be. But as far as troops, particularly the legends, it's going to be really solid. It's quite possibly the strongest legend that has ever been added from a faction. It'll be cool to see how that pans out. It's also the first faction troop that has ever gotten half mana start, which are normally pretty key troops to have, so nice that it's really easily obtainable. Everything that's ever available through shards are pretty much easily attainable at any given time, because it's like they have event keys perpetually going on forever. Because all you need is just throw down a couple hundred shards and boom, you just got basically every troop from the faction. And you can do that at any time of the week, any week. 1 week of factions is probably enough to get one of every copy from any delve in the game. They're really easy to obtain whatever ones you might need. Haha, you have 4,000 gems and 9,000 shards ready. Well, you're probably not going to need that many gems. Depends how many stats you need, but it will only take around 1,000 to 2,000 gems, approximately. And you do profit some of that back. And by some, I mean a very small amount, because a lot of people will probably be going for leaderboard. Not directly, but because they're trying to do level 500 pure faction. Because if you're already buying up to tier 6 for the emoji pack, you might as well just go all the way. And go to tier 6, or, you know, go to like tier 7 if you need it, and just buy into level 500 pure faction. I am going to try to do it with just tier 6 to see if it is possible to do it without buying tier 7. I'm not sure if it is, but we're going to be trying it and see. We're going to do level 200 faction, like we will be for every faction pretty much hereforth. But we're going to do level 200 faction, and we're going to do tier 6, which is enough to buy all rewards. Or, you know, all unique rewards. And we'll see if that's enough to actually reach it. It might not be enough sigils. Like, obviously, that'll be enough stats, most likely. But the question is if it's enough sigils or not. Depends how Val Ravens fall. We probably won't be able to get it done on the Friday of, just because we will be short a few. What's the higher priority? Maxing Titan to level 100 or getting 250 win weapons from a few of the other classes? I would say get Titan to level 40, then get all of the good 250 win weapons, like Essence of Evil from Plague Lord, and, well, that's the main one, I would say. That and probably Skeleton Key off of Thief. Those are, like, the 2 biggest ones, I would say. Neither exist on Nintendo Switch, but any other version has them. But, yeah, getting 250 wins on Plague Lord and Thief Hero class are pretty important to do relatively quick. So basically you go to Titan level 40, then Plague Lord level, or, you know, enough to until you get 250 wins. And then you do that same 250 wins to Thief Hero class. And then you switch back to Titan until you get to 100. And then you go from there. After that, you'd probably go start maxing either of the other two. Depends which one you want to use. Probably go to Thief after that, as far as leveling it to 100. After you finish Titan, go to Thief. Dragon's Eye, I don't know. Dragon's Eye isn't used for much these days, or at least not as much as it used to be used for. These days, Essence of Evil does almost everything that Dragon's Eye would do. The only thing that Dragon's Eye is particularly superior on is if they have Impervious. Dragon's Eye is better on them. And if, what was the other condition? If you're trying to stack kills, because every single time you count Dragon's Eye counts as a kill. But other than those 2 instances, you don't really need to bother with that. Dragon's Eye is mostly underwhelming these days, at least relative to Essence of Evil. Because Essence of Evil, for the most part, is basically Mountain Crusher combined with Dragon's Eye. In most situations. Yeah, it could help in 750 win kills, but you can pretty much just do that naturally. 750 kills doesn't normally take too long. It's like, what, 5 hours tops? If you have to do that in PvP. Especially if you did 1 trophy or casual 1 trophy PvP the entire time. Speaking of that, what even is the event objective this week? We have to kill a bunch of green in PvP and Explore. Looks like we'll need to go poke on a little bit more PvP. Haven't really been doing much. Most of the PvP I've actually been doing this week was from testing various teams, oddly enough. Also, why did I click this? It's gonna delay. There we go. Also, hey, we almost have 27,000 gems. How can we find the other last bit of it? If we could get that event objective, haha. No, that's about probably the only way. I could do an arena run that gives 10 right now. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, we're gonna get 25 from this event too that we're doing right now. We might be able to close that gap before the end of this stream. What's the best PvP defense team at the moment? What do you mean by best? The best current PvP defend team is setting the worst possible defend team you possibly can. I'm not sure if you mean that best or the actual strongest best. But if you're talking about overall best, it's 4 times Firebomb or a bunch of treasure with Firebombs or 3 Firebombs with Sacred Cow or anything like that. But if you're talking about actual effective best, it's something like the Rope Dart Divine team. Something like Quillin, or wait, what's the order these days? Divine Ishbala, Rope Dart, Quillin, and then that bunny, I forget its name, Lunar Bunny. There's also the whole Flamefer, or Mountain Crusher if you don't own Flamefer, or Urska Crown. But it's Flamefer, Yagway, Tapon, and Queen Titania. That's another one of the pretty good ones to set on defense. We also had the highest win rate of any defend team we set last Guild War as well. So it definitely looks like it's pretty solid. Though it was used on Brown Day, so that's a little bit biased. Tapon is obviously ridiculously good on Brown Day, since the entire enemy team is brown and it converts all brown to red. What do we take here? Take the green for now. Oh, sorry, I didn't answer your second question. Once your guild reaches 40k seals for max chest upgrades, should you invest 100% of your total shards on guild chests or save them for some reason? You sometimes save them. The only time you would ever save your shards is if you're trying to get a new mythic. So if you know next mythic's going to be decent, or you just want to get it for whatever reason because it seems like a fun troop, then you would probably want to go and save all of your shards and wait to use it on a mythic that you like. However, if you just want to get a general mythic of any kind, you just use them whenever. But the only reason you would ever save your shards, or really any of your keys, is to try to save it these days for a specific mythic. That's about the only reason you would ever save your keys in the current state of the game. For early game and mid game, you should always throw down every single key you have. Until you have 5-star every kingdom, you should not be saving your keys, ever. But once you have, or pretty much ever, event keys you do always save because you need to wait till they have a good event. But you know, like all your other keys, you don't normally save, you just use immediately. Until you have 5-star all kingdom. And once you have 5-star all kingdom, you can start saving them for specific mythics and stuff. Normally people don't start saving them until you have about half the mythics in the game, but of course some people save them in case a good mythic does roll around. Because obviously a good mythic is a good mythic, you'd want that regardless. But you do eventually reach the point where you mandatory have to save them, because you have so many mythics that it's just more efficient to get a guarantee mythic that you don't have, even if it's horrible, rather than taking your luck to try to get a random mythic that you might already own. Yeah, I'm so ready for tomorrow's faction. We've got everything set up already for it. We have all of our gems, surplus of it. Basically anything beyond 25,000 right now I would consider as excess gems. Really even everything above 20,000. But I am trying to stay above 25,000 if we can. As long as we stay over 20,000, that's a solid enough amount that regardless of what kind of content they add to the game, we should have enough excess gems that it shouldn't matter too much. Just a little bit of safety padding in case they ever add some kind of feature that costs like 10,000 gems or something, who knows. They already added emojis and which start wasting like another extra 1,000 to 2,000 gems per month. So we already know they're going to be adding things over time that's just going to slowly keep chipping at that gem amount. Of course, those are completely cosmetic and optional, but they still hurt the gem amount because even though they're optional, they're technically not optional because any completionist will still want to have them all. Maybe not immediately since you could buy them up after the fact, but you know, at least eventually getting them. We still don't know what their cost will be after the fact. We probably won't know until about another month. They said they would be buyable about 2 to 3 months after. And the feature was added about a month and a half ago, so we still have, at minimum, several weeks before we figure out or know exactly how they're doing it. What should basically be is you just spend a small amount of gems, and then boom, you immediately get it. There shouldn't be any kind of timer thing. You just see them, buy them, go. Like right now, if you go into that menu, it just says, hey, you can't get them at the moment. But after what should be around 3 months, you should just be able to go here, go to the ones you don't have, simply click on it, and buy it. The only exceptions to this is all the ones that are obtained through a specific objective, like reaching level 100 on a specific faction, or owning Zugoff, or owning Xenos. These will always only be obtainable from completing those objectives, but ones that say they're specifically from an event, unlocked from event, you'll be able to obtain these simply by spending some gems on them. Oops, I did not mean to click on that icon. Back to the baby dragon. Where'd it go? There we go. But these will be obtainable in the future for what should be 25 gems. We don't know their exact price. They said 25 gems in the past for portraits and stuff, but they might make it higher. We don't know. We won't know until it gets added. But during one of the Q&As about 2 months ago, they said it'd be 25 gems for portraits and stuff, and the titles, and 100-something gems for emoji packs. Though they might raise those prices. We don't know yet. Whatever it is, it won't be like a ridiculously huge amount. It'll be affordable to a degree. And of course, you'll be able to obtain those gems within like an hour or two of just grinding out treasure hunt if you really want the specific title or portrait. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't have the Cinco de Mayo skull. It came in for, what was it, $5, $10, whatever it was. So a lot of people probably didn't bother picking it up. But it will be available in about 2.5 months from now for what should be 25 gems. Yeah, no problem, Goober. And if anyone else has any other questions, let me know. Also, hello, Captain. Hello, Adam. Hello, Haxon. Hello, Robert. Hello, Skeleton Key. Hello, Corinne. Hello, Mr. Jesse. Let me see what other things I missed from chat. Hello, Seth. What's... Oh, wait, never mind. I already answered that. Oh, what's the strongest PvP team? Yeah, that's basically the Yagway team. I would personally still say is the absolute strongest. Flamerfur, or if you don't own Flamerfur, you use Mountain Crusher or Urska Crown, followed by Yagway, Tapon, and Queen Netanya. I'd personally say that is one of the absolute strongest. There are a few different ones. I would say that one's, personally, I would say the overall strongest, though. And it doesn't use any mythics either, which is really nice. Though the optimal version of the team does use a weapon that is unobtainable. Though Urska Crown is close enough that it's not that big a difference. And Urska Crown you get from halfway through the Urskea questline if you haven't already done that. I'm still waiting on Queen Netanya on my Nintendo Switch account. That team is fully obtainable on Nintendo Switch. The only problem is, and it's still just as strong on Nintendo Switch as well. There's no difference with it on Nintendo Switch as it is on every other version. The only problem is I do not have Queen Netanya yet. I have not been lucky enough to get a Queen Netanya. Though the second I do, I'll probably be running it as my main PvP team. I personally don't like it as a PvP team, but relative to what I currently have on Nintendo Switch, it would be the strongest team we would own at that point. Any recent way to get Rope Dart? Nope, it's one of those old unobtainable weapons. They might be adding something in the future to be able to obtain it some kind of way. As it currently stands, Rope Dart is unobtainable, which doesn't make much sense. There's about a dozen or so really meta weapons that are unobtainable currently. Flamerfur, let's see if I can remember all of them. Flamerfur, Rope Dart, Yasmin's Pride, Earth's Fury, Trickster Shot. What is that, 6? And I'm still probably missing several. I always feel like I'm missing several. At least 3 I'm probably missing from that list. I'll throw that down. Oh, don't get a summon. What are you doing? Alright, we'll throw that down and just kill it with double Marilith at this point. Gonna survive with 2 HP. Yep. Okay, there we go. We got him with a random skull. Oh, you got Ubestead on 50 glory chest. That is very lucky. Congrats. And one more battle, and we get our 25 free gems. We also get Assassin class EXP, but I do not need Assassin class EXP because we already have it maxed. That will do that. Throw that into Dawnbringer. So this event went pretty quick this time around. It's always nice to see. I'll throw Dawnbringer down. Get a Merlif in there. And hey, we actually got your reality to full mana. I think that's the first time. We'll throw it down. We have a lot of Nagas. I'll almost wipe his team. And all we need now is a Dawnbringer, and that's match. He's dead. And dead. How long have I been playing this game since it started? Since November of 2014. So 4.5 years is how long we've been playing. Which is also why it seems like we have such ridiculous resource amounts. Because we've been playing since the game launched, so we've had a lot of time to accumulate those resources. And also the economy has shifted multiple times, and during some of those economies, some resources were easier to obtain than others. For example, gold was a lot easier to obtain at one point in the past, as well as gems were quite a bit easier to obtain at one point in the past. However, there are still some things that are at the highest rate ever currently. Glory is at the highest rate it's ever been, and souls are at the highest rate it's ever been, as well as some other things, just spread it throughout the game, obviously. But as far as like the core 4 resources, Glory and Souls are still at the highest rate they've ever been in the history of the game. However, gold rates and gem rates are slightly slower than they were at their most optimal point. The first time gold was the most optimal was when 4 times speed was first implemented to the game, and they didn't bother rebalancing gold. It was still off the old gold economy, but it was 4 times quicker, so obviously that made it quite a bit stronger. And similarly, at that time, since there was so much more gold, they haven't bothered rebalancing the guild tasks yet either. So you were able to get a ridiculous amount of gems at the time, like literal thousands at the time. These days you can only get about like about 1,000 per week, realistically, 1,000, 1,500 or so. Depends how much tribute you take. Of course, there are still ways to get a lot of gems though, like off of tributes and stuff, because that didn't used to exist, or at least not to as big of a degree as it does now. But overall, both those 2 rates are slower, but both those other 2 rates, gold and gems are slower, but glory and souls are quicker than they were. Yeah, we have almost over 10,000 hours. Well, actually, technically, we have over 10,000 hours. If you count every account we've ever played, it's over 10,000 hours. If you count just this account, it is 9,243 hours. And of course, that doesn't necessarily count time I'm spending on videos, forum, and other similar things. But yeah, if you're just counting this account specifically, we're almost at 10,000 hours. We're about 800 hours away from the 10,000 hour mark. There's already people over 10,000. I think there's almost someone over 20,000 as well, which is kind of funny. Let's see. Anyways, where was I? So we did that. Let's go do dungeons real quick, and then we'll probably just mess with invasions, get the last of our shards, and just mess with PvP for the rest of that time, most likely. If anyone else still has any other questions, let me know. And don't forget, new faction in about 6 hours from now. Of course, that's like the middle of the night for some time zones, but we'll be covering it tomorrow morning when I wake up. And I'll be streaming it, going over all our normal stuff with it. How do you do events on this in Switch? What do you mean by that? I'm not quite sure. Which specific events are you referring to? And what do you mean by this in Switch? Like, this version compared to the Switch version? Nintendo Switch is currently running on a different event system than the Nintendo Switch. It's a really weird version right now, the Nintendo Switch version. It's running on a completely different one than every other version of the game. Just because they released it like a month and a half ago, so it's still relatively new. But, yeah, I don't know exactly what you're asking with that question. Maybe if you rephrase it, I might be able to answer it. Oh, how do I have the time to do both? Well, I haven't been playing the Nintendo Switch one as much recently. So, that's how. I've only been playing the Nintendo Switch accounts these days for under 10 hours a week. And my normal account, I would say, is around, what, 20 hours a week or so? Somewhere around there. And most of it I just stream as well. About half the time I spend on this account is normally streamed these days. What do you focus on after all kingdoms to level 10 and Titan leveled up? You try focusing on getting all the kingdoms to 5 stars. The main thing that you should do to start doing this is do every quest line in the game if you haven't already. That would be a good starting point. Just do literally every quest line in the game. Even if it's a useless kingdom that gives you nothing out of it, because every single kingdom 1 star requires you to complete out the kingdom. And then from there, start getting magic kingdoms to level 5 and start focusing on stuff like that. You also want to, once you get all kingdoms to level 10, if you haven't already done this, you want to try finding yourself a better guild if you're not happy with your current guild. Because normally at that point, you have enough gold to be able to get yourself into a bigger guild. And you definitely want to do that because that gets more resources pretty much for free. It will cost you a little bit more gold and it will require you to be slightly more active. But you'll basically just get a lot of resources for free. And it is highly advised doing. Trying to get into as best of a guild as you possibly can as early as possible. And that initial early point that you tend to switch from your very first guild into your next guild would be at level 10 all kingdoms. Because the biggest gold expense in the game, at least initially when you're starting out, is getting all kingdoms to level 10. After that, most of your gold you could pretty much just dump into a guild. So finding a guild that has a 100,000 gold requirement or 300,000 or whatever you can easily do per week is likely what you want to target down. Alright, we're going to hope this kills that. Okay, it did not. Now we're going to need to wait till he casts again. Okay, so I just need to feed him mana without killing him. Let's see if I'll actually take it. Good. Now I just need him to cast. And not take skulls. And also not die. No! Are we going to do this stealth like this, or do I just retreat? I think for the sake of time, I should probably just retreat, but... I don't know, I need the shards. We're getting a new faction tomorrow. We'll play it out. There's nothing else in the stealth that moves us other than the final room. Oh, well. Let's see, what's the best way of going about this? I guess try taking blue mana and try doing that. That or get so much brown mana that we feed all the way to Tina, then into the troop. But that'd be a little overkill. But yeah, this start of battle is going to be really slow now. For the rest of this delve. Annoying double skull, messing up everything. Okay, I'll take the green there. And now we have Apothecary, so we can just throw that into full mana. And there we go. Okay, now it's back to normal. Once we get that Mountain Crusher full, we pretty much just auto-win. There we go. Okay, so that's not too bad. It is going to be a slower start for all of these battles. It's only going to cost us like 2 minutes, though. 2-3 minutes. Not too big a deal. Yeah, I need another blue. Ideally, we need to take blue into blue and hope one of them surge. Because that will give us a brown burst, and hopefully that brown burst would be enough to feed both of them. And we just keep taking mana until they're both fed. And once they're both fed, we just win from there. So let's do that, throw a thingy over, get a Tina down. What else do we need to move? We'll take that over, get our Tina. That's also Weaver range. And it was killed with Weaver into Tina, and that should be match. Or almost match. We'll actually revive. I have nothing that can stop that currently. And I was filled back to Tina kill. There we go. Is it worth it to disenchant a troop for souls? No. You should always ascend every single troop to 4 copies of Mythic. Once you have it at Mythic with 4 copies remaining, you can disenchant all the excess from there. But personally, I just keep collecting them because why not? But you want to make sure you do not disenchant any troop prior to having them all Mythic with 4 copies. Once you have it upgraded to Mythic with 4 copies, then you can disenchant it if you want. I personally just still keep collecting them at that point, though, just for fun. Because disenchanting has very little effect. The disenchanting system is one of the most outdated parts of this game. They have made it so it's automatic now. Before, you had to literally, at one point, disenchant 1 card at a time, which obviously would take ages in the current economy of the game. But they actually pay out the exact same that they have since day 1 of the game. Commons still pay out 5 souls, rares still pay out 10 souls, so on and so forth. With Legends paying out 100 souls, which is excessively small. And Mythic's paying out 125 souls, which is laughably small. But, yeah, you should basically almost never disenchant. Always make sure to ascend, not disenchant. I hate that the game actually teaches you to disenchant at the start of the game, because you almost never want to disenchant until late game at earliest. Okay, what do we even need here? I guess we do this onto, what, purple there? Or do we do it on yellow? I might just go for yellow. Try for Sky Skull over there. I didn't get it. Oh, and I just give him an extra turn because of that fail. Not that big a deal, though. Let's take a brown to a brown to a brown. Up or that. That works, too. I go throw this down. Get a Weaver in there. Or not. Never mind. I need another Tina. And we get Apothecary to Tina and then Weaver kill. That should be match. Do that. Move all the other manas. We have that again in case we need it, though I don't think we'll need it for anything. And down it goes. We hope we get a new kingdom this year. They did say they might add one new kingdom in 2019. However, there's currently no word on it, on if we are or not. There's a good chance we will not get a new kingdom this year. But they did say, if they did, they might do one this year. That it was a key word on might. Yeah, we haven't gotten a new kingdom for 8 months now. The last kingdom was added in August of last year. So 3 months from now will be the, oh, so never mind. It's been 9 months then. I guess like 8.5, however you look at it. It's been almost 9 months without a kingdom. The longest amount of time that we have ever not gotten a kingdom. In the past, they used to do it every few months. But of course, because there's so many kingdoms in the game, they just started to stop it for the delve system instead. So we technically get a new kingdom every month now. It's just a delve instead of an actual kingdom. Like the delve that we're getting tomorrow is basically the replacement for the whole kingdom system. Instead of adding a kingdom that comes with 8 troops and a big storyline and all that, instead they opt for just 4 troops and just adding it via the faction thing. They're like little mini kingdoms in a way. And we get them every month instead of every few months. That was basically the whole replacement for kingdoms. But you never know, we might start getting more kingdoms again. If we do, it's going to be a very small amount. But they haven't ruled out adding more kingdoms. And what would that be? The 35th kingdom if they did do that? The problem with them adding more kingdoms is they do want to keep like the whole event rotation thing that they currently have. And the more kingdoms they keep adding, the longer the event cycle takes. And of course with 35 kingdoms, it already takes forever and a half for all 35 of those kingdoms to roll around. And it's just going to take even longer for the more kingdoms they add to the game. If they even add any more. Yeah, we'll probably get another kingdom eventually. If it'll happen this year is questionable, though. If they do add a new kingdom, it's almost guaranteed going to bring in a new mechanic of some sort. There's almost no way it wouldn't. So if they ever want to add another mechanic, that's probably around the time we'll see a new kingdom. Though they ended up doing the same without adding a new kingdom. They added Curse, Bleed, and Bless without actually adding a kingdom. They just added it via factions and just troops naturally having it from various kingdoms. When is new kingdom coming? We don't know. There's no official announcement. But if you're talking about new factions in 6 hours. 6 hours, 20 minutes. Do we take here? We'll take the brown over. Grab our yellow over. Take a blue to green. Hopefully find another blue so we can actually get Apothecary or not. So let's take that over. Grab a... Let's take brown to blue. Do you think the new mechanic would be from Madonna? What, do we already know of a new mechanic? I haven't heard any word of new mechanics yet. Yeah, it would be nice if mechs got some love. Mechs have been pretty much always very underwhelming in this game. Bombot and Tina are the closest things to making it not underwhelming. But even they are more towards the average side. But then again, Tina's somewhat relevant these days. The one main thing that makes Tina relevant is as 50% spell. It's not even necessarily its damage or anything. Probably the most relevant thing about this troop. And it's probably the thing that I didn't really even make too much of a mention of with it. Because you'd focus more on the damage of a troop rather than, or you know, how useful it is at actually winning a battle rather than, you know, its durability or anything. But one of the most useful things, oddly enough, about this troop is it has 50% spell reduction into one of the highest armor gains in the game, among one of them. At least as far as a self-armor gain to one single troop. As far as overall, obviously, it's lower compared to AoEs. But, yeah, it's pretty decent in that regard. It has double its magic and armor, and already has some base value to it. Giving it one of the highest armor gains overall in the entire game. Which works really well with 50% spell reduction. Assuming they're not using true damage, that's obviously a lot of durability. Well, it looks like we managed to get through this delve without having to, or, you know, with a weird order to our team. With our, everything switched up. And now we're back to normal. Okay, we'll throw down the greens. Grab an apothecary. Wait, is that an extra turn? Yes, it is. We'll throw that down on reds. Get that down, 13 at it. Boom, boom. I'll bring it to Weaver range. Hopefully it'll be full mana back to Tina. Or at least apothecary to feed into it. Or another Weaver. Oh, that's not enough damage, though, is it? No, it is not. We'll just apothecary it, and that should be max mana. And it was Tina to the win, so we'll do that. Boom. And he's dead. Or he's not dead. Weaver will kill it out then. No, there's almost no chance we're going to get live PvP. Closest thing they said we might ever get is like a mini game that kind of incorporates it, but even that doesn't seem too likely. Seems like they would end up implementing another game before they would ever bother doing something like that, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe Puzzle Quest 3 will have multiplayer to some degree, though I'm pretty sure that's not going to really do it much. Because Puzzle Quest 3 will most likely be based on its single-player experience, more so than multiplayer. However, it might have a multiplayer component. We don't know yet. We don't even know if they're technically working on it yet. But based on hints, it seems like they might be. A very strong maybe. Well, okay, we'll just take the bottom into top. This is a really weird path for this delve, but we'll do that. Hello, David! Welcome! If anyone else has any other questions, let me know. I'll search this stream. I'm just going to be finishing up these last few factions. I want to get all these done, all 3 of them. Just because new faction tomorrow, so I want to make sure we have the shards in case we run and get really unlucky treasure. Because, of course, just because we have a lot of shards doesn't mean we're going to get a lot of good treasure. We can open all those shards and get, like, 2 mythic treasures, and that's it. We'd realistically get way more than that, but, you know, we can still get pretty unlucky. I'm just going to give him all the extra turns, because the main thing I need him to do is move us back to normal, and let's not accidentally kill him this time, like we did the first time around. Come on, just cast already. Sometime today. Come on. There you go. And now we can kill it out. Oh, sorry. What was your question? Any teams that increase Red Charlotte's magic, if viable, to take advantage of... there are some teams that can increase it. Any hero class with Rogue Tree will increase it on extra turn. However, it's only board extra turn, not her doing her cast. The other thing that can slightly buff it is... Oh, what was it? No, never mind. That wasn't it. No, there wasn't really anything that could properly do it. There are some things that trigger on cast, but none of them specifically buff her on cast. The only things that really trigger on cast are like Queen of Sin and Frost Mage has 2 different things that trigger on cast. It's Freeze and it's Arcane. Obviously, any troop with Arcane has it. For the most part, there's almost no mechanics that trigger on cast. Almost all of them that trigger are based on extra turns off the board. Not specifically, just extra turns in general. Very few things specifically actually trigger on an actual extra turn. There are some things that trigger on cast specifically as well. But even that has barely anything. Oh, why did I do that? I could have killed it with Tina. Let's hit 46, 46, but even that might have been enough. Yeah, there we go. But I showed some with it on Monday video. I don't think I still have them saved, but if you check Monday video, I did show, I believe, 2 teams that kind of utilize that. One I didn't actually use, but I showed it. Like some of the troops that have that mechanic that would theoretically synergize with it, as well as the team that we end up messing with. Neither of them are viable, though. From my understanding, there is no viable team that would work for her for PvP, at least in endgame or late game. In early game and mid game, I guess you could kind of get away with the mechanic if you don't have other stuff at the moment. But once you start having good legends and mythics, you don't really ever need to bother running her. She's just not strong enough to use. The theme of troop that she is would potentially be useful in the future, but no troop currently does it effectively enough. So that mechanic's actually useful. Raven doesn't do it good enough. She doesn't do it good enough. What was the other one? There was one other one that has a similar mechanic. That one with that 30%, that one invasion or raid troop that came in a while back, that one doesn't do it good enough. But those mechanics do have potential in the future. Just none of them are viable enough to bother using outside of their event. But we'll probably eventually get some kind of option that will be. Also, after this delve, we'll hand out a redeem code. And then we'll just have to finish up the other two. And then we should have a little over 19 shards for tomorrow. And hopefully we'll get lucky with the treasure. And then we'll go crazy with upgrading the new delve. Also, do you guys actually want me to open the shards on a video? Because I didn't last time. No one really mentioned anything about it. I assumed it would be kind of boring. But I don't know, some people might want to see it. Because we're probably going to open nearly 20,000 shards. We're going to open until we have 0 shards. Is how many we're going to open. I'm not sure if we're going to use all that treasure. Or we're going to open until we have 0 shards. And that's going to be a little bit disappointing if we have just under 20,000. Let's see. We'll have like 19,200 by now. But yeah, I guess we actually will be slightly under 20,000. Because we'll have, what, 19,200 at best by the end of today. Probably even a little bit lower than that. Then we get a few hundred from buying the packs. So we are going to be a few hundred short, but it's close enough. It's almost 20,000. It's almost 20,000. You know what I could actually do? Maybe I'll go do some of the other 500s. Because we have a 500 on this delve. We have a 500 on a few others. And any of them that I can use Iron Gut Team and other stuff for. We can still get down every single room. Or even if we don't do every room, we can still rush it down and get an okay amount of shards. So you know what? We might be able to reach 20,000. Because I think we get about, what, 500 from buying the packs? We need to go actually check an event. So let me go actually check that right now. Actually, I'll check it after we finish out these 2 delves. And I want to figure out if we can actually reach 20,000. Because then I can put in the title that we opened up 20,000 shards. I don't think I ever bothered opening that much up on video at one time. I guess we'll keep track of legendary and mythic treasures, because those are going to be the only relevant too. Obviously, with 20,000 shards, we're going to own all the legends and mythic, or, you know, all the troops to mythic. Because that only requires around 4,000 to 8,000 or so, depending on how unlucky or lucky you get. Could theoretically even take up to 10,000 if you get super unlucky. But 20,000 would guarantee get it at that point. You would have to have absurd luck to not have every single one to mythic by then. It would most likely be the legendary if you weren't to have any of them up by then. Though we have once done it, where the, what was it? The ultra rare was actually the last one. No, it wasn't. It was the epic, which doesn't make much sense because you actually get a few free copies of the epic, which is kind of funny. That'd be the last one to get upgraded because the epic is normally the easiest one to get maxed. But I believe one of the times it was actually our last one that we ever got maxed because for whatever reason it just wasn't dropping. Maybe they tweaked the drop rate or something that week or something, but I'm not sure. Because I don't think other people had the same issue. It was really strange. I'll throw that down, do it on blues. Grab a Tina down. Oh, that did not hit anything that was relevant for it to hit. Now I can't cast Weaver. Gonna just have to do another one of those and a smash. Luckily that didn't accidentally hit the first slot. If that would have hit that twice and then first slot once, we wouldn't have been able to use Weaver twice in a row. After casting Tina, that would have been a fail. We'll take this one, take the middle, drop down, and go get all of our shards. Can I explain how delves and treasure work? That's a pretty broad question. Not sure exactly how to section it down. I still need to cover videos on this too. I have in the past, like to some degree. But I need to go do more modern videos. Maybe we'll do that this weekend. Since we have an event going on, we could do like 1 video a day. Maybe try doing that. I do have some time this weekend. 1 per day, going over faction stuff. Obviously, Friday we'll be going over the new faction, though. But we can start doing all the other stuff, too. Let's go throw that down on greens. Get that going. Throw a Tina down. Go from there. Get that down. Get a Mountain Crusher in there. Grab that. Get our Mountain again. Oh yeah, sorry. To answer your question, let me go do that right after this battle. I need to be out of this battle to explain it a bit easier. Let's see. Throw that down. Yeah, I'll do a quick explanation. It's hard to explain quickly though. But basically, you get three. Well, first things first. To unlock the Underworld, you have to go complete out the Kingdom of Sinner Mirage, which is this kingdom right here. You need to be at least level 30 to do this. Once you do that, you just complete out that kingdom. Once you have completed that kingdom, you can click this button, and it brings you to the Underworld. Down here, there will be 2 factions if you're on Nintendo Switch version, or 10 starting tomorrow if you're on any version that isn't Nintendo Switch version. And you'll have a bunch of various delves that you can do down here. Basically, every single day, you get 3 battles that you end up using on these delves, which will allow you to have a bunch of different maps that you can do for a bunch of various rooms that give various treasures. As far as actually going through these delves, you tend to do them in multiplier order. So basically, you just take the highest multipliers first, and then work your way down to the lower multipliers, and try saving the treasure rooms, which are the ones that give higher treasure loots on them, for last. And basically just go from there. And then at the end of the delve, you end up getting a gigantic chest that has a bunch of various resources in it. The most noteworthy ones being the unique one of shards, as well as the somewhat unique ones of legendary and mythic ingots. Legendary and mythic ingots can be obtained by other means. However, they drop at the highest rate from delves compared to any other aspect of the game. So those are the 3 resources you're normally farming for whenever you're in delves. Shards being the main one, with the secondary ones being legendary and mythic ingots, as it's the best way of obtaining legendary and mythic ingots. However, it's the only way in the entire game to obtain shards for the most part. Shards are used to open portals. These are used when on various factions. Each faction has 4 specific troops associated to it that you'll always be able to target down. It's basically like event keys that you can use for any 4 specific troops from that faction at any given time. So doing it on factions that have better troops tend to work out pretty well. For example, Guardian has Gargoyle, which is one of the best faction troops of any faction in the game. And it's generally one of the ones that you want to throw your shards down on initially. And that's applicable to every version of the game, including Nintendo Switch, since that's one of the 2 delves that the Nintendo Switch does have. But other than that, it also gives various treasures. Half of your drops are just troops, the other half is treasure. Treasure can be used on any delve, regardless of what delve you obtain it from. And these treasures are used to upgrade your treasure hoard. Basically, the main thing you need to do with this is you go and target down one specific one, whatever one you're doing for your current dailies. You go and pick that faction and you start upgrading its quality. You should basically do combinations of treasure that will end up initially being 100% or really close to 100% for your first quality upgrades until you get it to quality level 10. This will save you gold doing it this way, as well as guarantee that you negate out any random chance, because obviously if you do something like this, it's only 80% chance, whereas if you did it all the way up to a 95 or 100% chance, you don't really need to worry about that whole random aspect to it. But you basically want to use the smallest combination that will get you to 100% ideally, or at least 95. And other than that, you just keep getting that upgrade until you have quality level 10, and then you just farm that delve for a while. The main thing that quality level 10 gives is all these upgrades, but the biggest one being the +3 chest on the final room. Just completing out the delve gives you 3 additional chests for that final room. And you automatically have 2 guaranteed. The first room's always a guaranteed chest, and the last room's always a guaranteed chest. So with quality 10, you have guaranteed +5 chests for a delve, and normally you hit more like a 6, 7, or 8, with 9 or 10 being possible and pretty decent. Other than that, what else, other things that I miss? As far as what delves you tend to do, you tend to want to focus on just farming Silver Necropolis at level 20 the entire time. You basically have, prior to having quality 10, you basically do every single room in Silver Necropolis except for the boss room, and then you run away. Once you have quality level 10, you do every single room in Silver Necropolis at level 20, and then you go and, including the boss room, and then you go back to level 20 on 1x multiplier, and then you keep doing it over and over again at level 20, and you basically do that until you reach late game. There is very little need on doing anything above a level 20 faction, at least in the current state of the game. There's very little need to try to level any of the factions, and you basically just keep one specific faction at level 20 until you reach late game being level 5 all kingdoms at minimum. So you tend to do that for a while as you're just kind of farming up. And you basically just do the Tuesday events and all the new factions for all the other ones, and you just keep whatever your home faction is at level 20 until you start getting all your other kingdoms maxed. So over time, you'll slowly start getting all the kingdoms to higher renown. Basically, there's a renown system to every single faction. There's 4 objectives you need to do. One is getting every single one to level 500. You have to complete all the rooms, get it all the way to 500. You have to go and I'm explaining this weird, but let's see. You need to complete delves, and every single time you complete a delve, it just keeps moving up. So if you complete level 20 delve, it goes to 30, 30 to 40, so on and so forth until you reach 500. So that's what this first one is. The second one is the same thing, except it has to be done with no deaths. The next one is the same thing as this initial one, except instead of no deaths, you have to use the pure faction team. The pure faction team being any 4 of the troops associated with the faction. It is the hardest to do of any of these objectives. And the absolute easiest is Treasure Hoard 100. If you wonder why a lot of mine are upgraded to 100, this is the general stopping point. There are basically 3 big stopping points that you tend to go for on these. Early on in the game, you should be focusing on quality level 10. You should get every single faction to quality level 10, then get them all to level 100, and then get them all to level 200. Though you don't do that till way later in the game. All of them to 100 is perfectly fine. And for early game, just definitely focus on quality 10 on all of them. You should only go quality 10 one at a time. So go for quality 10 on whatever one you're farming daily, like Silver Necropolis at level 20, and then start moving to the next one and the next one. So for example, you would just, if you have Silver Necropolis at level, quality level 10 and farming at level 20, you would then just do whichever one the next event is. So for example, that would currently be the current faction that we have right now. So you would try getting that to quality level 10 and just keep kind of going from there one at a time, going quality 10 to quality 10 until they're all 10. Then doing the same process, doing the ones that you're farming daily at level 100, then do it based on the events at level 100, and then get them all to 100, and then eventually do the same process for level 200. Like tomorrow, I'll obviously be, well, I don't have some of these at 100 yet, at 200, some of them still at 100. Every single new one, I obviously get to 200 whenever they do come around, and then just any excess treasure we do based on trying to get them to 2,500 renown. Renown means almost nothing in this game at this current moment in time. However, it does give you some free ingots per day, some little bit of gold each day, both of which are basically trivial amounts. But the most relevant part about it is there's one exclusive pet for every single faction that you'll end up getting once you get that faction to 2,000. The bonus that they give is just for using pure faction team, which is pretty useless. However, it is still a unique pet, and you might want to mess around with it. And other than that, the only really relevant thing that high faction renown gives is higher stats. So like, for example, we're going to get 1 attack tomorrow. This is technically already possible, but it'll be a lot easier starting tomorrow, because currently I'm camping Warrens, which keeps my delves levels a little bit low. But obviously tomorrow we'll have an extra +1 attack to all of our troops for a total of +2 HP, +2 armor, +1 attack. I believe starting tomorrow it's also possible to have +2 HP, +3 armor, and 1 attack. So I'll only be getting +1 attack. If you have every single one maxed out, and you have quite a few 2,500s, I believe it is possible to get that extra armor starting tomorrow. Because there's going to be 5 factions, that means the total amount is 25,000. And the next reward is at 24,000, right? So yeah, it will definitely be possible. It means you would have to have every single faction maxed at 2,500, except for about 4 of them, 4 or 5. Depending on, what you have the rest of the multipliers at, or what the rest of the score is at, as far as your total amount. But, yeah, if you have half the delves, if you have about half the delves at 2,500, you should be able to get that armor, assuming you're not camping one. But because we're camping one, we'll only be able to get the +1 attack tomorrow. Yeah, that's a quick rundown. For a video, it would be a little bit more concise. But, hope that helps. Let me know if that answers your question. I'll be covering videos on it soon again as well. A little bit more of an organized format. I'll throw that down, and there we go. You're still working on the Exalted achievement with the Pure Faction team. You can't pass the level 150 delve. You're not sure how it would be possible to complete that. Which one is the Exalted achievement? I actually have no clue which one that is. Is that the one where you need 2,500 total renown? If you're only at 150, then it might be a while before you can end up getting that. Or do you just mean that with Pure Faction? Let's see, which one is Exalted? I actually forget what it is. Control find it, which is Exalted. Exalted, reach the highest... Oh yeah, that's probably the hardest achievements in the entire game. Though, oddly enough, I don't think it's the most unobtained achievement. Well, I guess because of potions now, it's quite a bit easier to get than it was in the past. Prior to potions, it was quite a bit harder. And now that potions exist, I guess it's a little bit easier. Still one of the harder ones in the game, though. Really, that's actually a really surprising one to see as the rarest. Getting a pet to level 20 is actually the rarest achievement in the game. I would not have expected that one to be the rarest, but I guess so. Because you have to have your guild be somewhat active, plus you have to be around a lot of times to actually claim those pets. So I guess that somewhat makes sense. But I'm actually surprised of all things that that one's the rarest. Yeah, Exalted has been getting a little bit easier because of potions. It actually used to be, I believe, the second one, but now it moved all the way to 4th. Because potions made it a bit easier. But yeah, the easiest way to do that achievement is wait until, like, this Friday. Wait until, throw, like, 2,000 gems at the event. And you're almost guaranteed to have a pure faction done. As long as you have level 5 All Kingdoms. Or, 5-star All Kingdoms, I should say. And as long as you have, like, okay troops to be able to use for the faction event, you should be able to get all the way to 500 and just simply wipe it out with pure faction once you reach the final battle. Because potions make it way easier than it used to be. Yeah, it's still relatively hard, though. But potions do make it way easier. It just costs a little bit of gems up front if you want to go and try completing that out. And you can do that on any faction event. It doesn't have to be a new one. Though, normally you would do it on a new one because there's more rewards for doing it on the new one. And you also have 3 days to do it rather than 1 day, which gives you a lot more time. You also have 4 more free battles on it, though that might not make much of a difference. But you do have 3 more battles on a weekend-long event compared to the day-long event. Is Crypt this Friday? No. The new one coming out this Friday is a completely brand new faction, the 10th faction coming into the game. I actually completely forget what the faction is called off the top of my head, but we're getting a new faction tomorrow. That's what that is. But no, it's a brand new faction, 10th one, finally reaching double digits on the factions. Okay, this layout is super bad, but it looks like we're making a circle into those 2 rooms. So it seems like a game plan. However, I do need to switch to key team because there's a Cedric there. So let me go get Greed. Go put in her, put in the actual Greed, put in a key. Actually, let me put in Cedric before I put in key. And then we'll get a key in there. There we go. And we need to change our banner. And where to go? I really wish it would allow you to save teams in there rather than having to keep switching it literally every time. Doesn't take that long though, and it takes like a minute to switch it. Especially since we have to do it so often. I'm starting to get better at switching it. Oh, I forgot to cast Greed. Whoops. Already failing with this team. Okay, now we play a waiting game. Actually, no, we don't. One can go for the kill. We go get all of our mana back, and then we can play the waiting game of waiting till we cast again. What do we take care of? Let's go take yellow for now. He gets green. It's not necessarily a good thing, though. Because I can't do anything with this current board. Okay, we're moved back to normal. Please get an extra turn brown. That is not an extra turn brown. Okay, now I need to wait until he casts again. I'm going to deliberately pass my turn. I should have taken brown. What am I doing? I don't want to... Oh, actually, never mind. This should be fine. This shouldn't kill him. I lied. Well then, I'll take a skull. He'll take a skull. Okay, good. And now we kill him with skull. I mean, skull key. Skeleton key. Oh yeah, squirrel. Let me go hand out a code. I did say at the end of the previous faction I would hand out a code, and we did end the reach of it. We did reach the end of it. So let me go hand out a code. One moment. Almost forgot that we even have codes. We haven't been doing a code for a few days because Salty didn't have it for like, what was it? Like a week there? We didn't have codes. But yeah, it threw me off my code game. Let me go hand out a code real quick. Refresh, put that right over there. Boom, boom. Here you guys go. Here's a free redeem code. Use it on gemsofwar.com underneath the game code section. Your invite code is found underneath your settings menu. Same place as always is. Actually, I should say a slightly different place. Same location, just not the exact same location. It's right over there instead of in the middle. You know, it's right under settings menu. You guys know where it is. Redeem code's right over there in chat. Just copy paste the random numbers and letters. Give same reward as always. 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, 2,500 gold. Works on every platform except the console versions. Here you guys go. Also, we're almost at 19,000 shards. Let's see, what was I doing? Get the rest of this down. What path are we doing, I mean? We take the bottom, right? Take the bottom and then do a loop into the circle. I go throw that down, move that over. But yeah, normally you do want to try hoarding your gems. You ideally want to make sure you always have a reserve of about 5,000 gems. 5,000 to 10,000. When you're first starting out, obviously you can't do that. When you're first starting out, your objectives are, if you did not buy Death Knight armor, you want to get Dragon armor. And then you want to focus on 50 bulks of gem keys for 450 gems each in order to try obtaining a decent amount of troops. But after you reach that point, you do eventually want to start saving them for various events or just to have them as backup gems in case they ever add some kind of new feature that's ever really useful or something that might require gems. Always good to have some reserve, so you don't need to go out of your way for it, because it can take a while to have to farm them out of your way. And obviously you ideally don't want to have to go out of your way to buy them. So that, of course, is also an option. It's normally better just to conserve them over time. But it is important to throw down on gem keys initially. The main reason for this is they basically return on investment, because you need to get those gem keys in order to go get a bunch of troops. You need those troops in order to get a bunch of kingdoms to higher star levels. And you need those higher star levels in order to get better tribute. And from better tribute, you get more gems per hour anytime that you take your tribute while playing the game. And currently, with everything maxed, or as far as what can currently be considered maxed, we're currently getting around 500 to 1,000 gems per week just off a tribute. Of course, that's a lot lower earlier on in the game. I believe at level 5 all kingdoms, if you check it around 6 times per day, I believe that averages out to it'd be about 5 gems per tribute. So what would that come out to as far as how much would that be? It might actually be a little bit less average of it. It might actually be a 4 average. Let's just say that. So you do it 6 times a day, 4 average, 6 times 7 times 4. Yeah, it's still, even in early game, even just once you have, like, let's say 3-star all kingdom, which is where that, or it was a 4-star. It was actually at 4-star these days. I think they moved it from 3-star to 4-star. But whatever it is, as soon as you have them all like near 5-star or so, and even if you only take it about 6 times a day, even that's still around 150 to 300 gems a week, which isn't too bad on top of everything. And obviously taking tributes really quick, especially if you're playing on a mobile version. I believe it even has a little notification thingy for it. There's also one for web browsers as well if you're playing on PC. I'm not like ultra paranoid about constantly taking it, but obviously I do try taking it if I'm around at any given time. Just because, hey, free gems. And it definitely makes a difference, taking it compared to not taking it. Even from early game perspectives, or at least from mid game. Early game, it's pretty much trivial to take it, but once you reach mid game and further, like once you start having like 3-star kingdoms and above, it starts to become somewhat relevant. Once you start getting like those first several stars. Basically, it becomes relevant. Yeah, I believe it's 4-star these days because they end up moving it. Taking tribute every hour only becomes relevant, or, you know, whenever you're available. Only becomes relevant once you have every single kingdom at power level 4. Because at that point, you have double tribute reward and double tribute chance. And that's the biggest jump of increase that they ever have. Even more so than the triple, because that's just adding another extra double onto it. So just adding another little multiplier, which is actually less of a gain overall than how much the other one is. Well, it's technically the exact same amount of gain, I guess I should say. But the difference from the base value is the highest for technically the second and fourth one. Yeah, once you have power level 4 on all of them, I would say is around the time when taking it whenever you can starts to become somewhat viable. Because at that point, you can start getting several hundred gems a week. At least a few hundred, if not more. Just off of tributes that way. Because whenever you get multiple tributes at once, you get multiple gems. So if you get like 5 tributes, you get 4 gems. And also there's gold keys that you get from it could drop gems. And there's glory you get from it. And gold that you use on gold keys and glory keys could potentially drop gems as well. Anyways, what am I doing? I'm just keep clicking back into the same menu. Whenever I get to talking something, I sometimes click weirdly. Anyways, let's go do this battle. Continue our circle. Go over to the other thing. Go from there. Yes, after you get every single kingdom to level 10, you should start focusing on power levels. You should start by focusing on the magic kingdoms and then going around from there. But you should focus on getting all the magic kingdoms as priority to level 10. I mean, to 5 stars, my bad. So you get that extra magic stat off of them. And the reason they're all over the place is they're based on a lot of different objectives. They're based on leveling troops within the kingdom. They're based on having a kingdom quest line done. They're based on having a certain amount of troops or traits. In order to 5-star all kingdoms, I believe the full list of stuff you need is you need 1 legend from the kingdom. You need 7 troops to have 3 traits from the kingdom, which is probably the hardest one, that and owning the legend. You need 1 weapon from the kingdom with all of its perks. You need, I believe, 6 troops to level 15. It was 6, 7, or 8. I forget the number. But that's pretty easy to do because it just costs souls. And getting them to 15 can be any rarity. And I believe that's it. And that and have all the quest lines done within the kingdom. And if you do all those objectives, you will have 5-star on every single one of your kingdoms. The hardest 3 are, or the hardest 2, I really should say, is owning the legends and getting 7 of them fully traded. Are the 2 hardest ones of those. But after that, you're basically in late game after you complete those objectives. But yeah, the main thing that's probably stopping you from getting 5 stars is upgrading the weapon, owning a legend, and having them traded. Those are probably the 3 biggest things that are holding you back. It tells you if you click on any kingdom what you need for the stars. Obviously, mine will say stuff that's ridiculously higher than your requirements. But if you just click on any of them, let's say Mr. Scales, it'll tell you what all the requirements are. So as we can see right here, it'll say if it's available or not. And if it is available, which should be all of yours, every single one of yours should say that's available. Unless you somehow have a max kingdom, which that early in the game you shouldn't. But as you can see right here, it tells me I need to go upgrade 24 Mr. Scales troop to level 20, which means they all need to be fully ascended. I need to get level 40 on Assassin Hero class, which we already have 100. And I need to collect 2 Mr. Scales pets. Both of these 2 not even possible yet. But if you just click on any kingdom, it tells you what you have to do for the next level on the stars. And it's the same for every single kingdom. So for example, this being at 14 stars, if I click on another 14-star kingdom like Kedar, it'll tell me to do the exact same thing just for this kingdom. So as you can see, all these objectives are exactly the same. It's just showing it for Kedar instead. But yeah, it's the exact same objectives for every kingdom. You just specifically have to do those objectives for that kingdom. And when it specifically mentions that kingdom, it's referring to this kind of stuff. So for example, let's just say Adana. It would be referring to these troops, it'd be referring to these weapons, and it would be referring to these pets whenever it says a specific kingdom type to do like X thing to like a weapon or pet or whatever. It's referring to specifically from that kingdom, of course. Hello, Bishak! Welcome! But generally, I define early game. I still don't have a video on that, do I? I mentioned it a lot of times. I don't think I've ever actually did a video. But I personally consider early game, late game, or mid game, late game, and end game based on kingdom upgrades because it's the easiest thing to keep track of. Early game is everything prior to level 10 all kingdoms. Mid game is everything from level 10 all kingdoms to level 5-star all kingdoms. Late game is everything from 5-star all kingdoms to trying to get 10-star all kingdoms, which isn't even fully obtainable yet. But basically having them near 10 stars or completely to 10 stars, like around there, is generally what I consider late game. All that's a amount of grinding. And end game is basically you own everything, pretty much, or at least you're working towards that objective. You pretty much have everything maxed out. You pretty much have all the factions to pretty high renown, like 2,000 plus on like every single one, pretty much. You have nearly every troop in the game, probably just missing several mythics, but you definitely own every legend by late game. And you're by end game, I mean. And by end game, you're normally like level 1,200 plus, if not higher. Normally, as far as level ranges can vary a lot because level range isn't necessarily an exact means of progress. Of course, the higher your level, the more you've been playing, but that doesn't necessarily mean overall progress. Since you can have a really high level, but very small progress on the account. either due to bad luck or because you power leveled it. Obviously, a level 100 that's been playing for 2 years would have more stuff than a level 500 that's been playing for a month. But generally, by early game to mid game, you would be around level 500 when you finally end up getting to mid game. From mid game to late game, you'd be around level 1000, and from late game to end game, you'd be around level 1200 plus, if not higher, by the time you reach end game. So, of course, those are just general values, because level isn't necessarily reflective of progress. Because if you level super quick, that doesn't necessarily, because it just isn't a direct correlation. Because depending on how quickly you level would depend on how much loot you have. Because it's possible to reach level 1000 within a month if you power grind it. But obviously someone who's been playing for years would have more resources than someone who's been playing a month, even if they have a much lower level. And there we go. Okay, one more to go. And I definitely actually want to do this one because I need to go get ourselves our shards for tomorrow. So let me go put a Tina team back in here. So what do we need again? We need Tina, we need Apothecary. I should put the Apothecary in before I do that. Because it's already on the starting menu. If I clear filter completely, it's actually right there. At least currently, until we get another A that's in front of it. But even then, we can scroll down a little bit. But anyways, we need that, we need that, we need Weaver. And we need, what's his name? Mountain Crusher. That in there, and we need a banner moved to, I forgot what we're using for this again. Oh yeah, +2 brown, +1 blue. We need that +1 for the Apothecary, and we need all that brown. There we go. Oh yeah, if I would have played as much as I did the first 2 weeks, we could have reached level 1000 on the within 1 month. There were people that did. I personally didn't. I think I'm around level 800 right now, a little bit under on Nintendo Switch version right now. But yeah, if we would have played as much as I did on the first 2 weeks, we would be like level 1100 by now. Somewhere's around there. We wouldn't have that much progress on the account. We only have 3 mythics and I think we only own like a little bit more than half the legends in the game, and we still need Queen Titania. Such an important legend we're missing. But yeah, of course, level doesn't necessarily reflect progress, because there's level 1000s on the PC mobile version that are probably way more progressed than the almost level 1000 I have on Nintendo Switch, just because that's only about a month and a half old. Whereas some people who are level 1000 on PC mobile have probably been going for like what, 3 months, 6 months, something like that. Because, of course, it can vary. What on earth do I grab here? Do I go down the middle? No. We'll save it for last. I think we'll take these two, those two. Actually, yeah, these two, those two, that. Actually, I'll just do it in curve. We'll take these two, then go all the way in a circle, and then take the middle. Just easier that way. Makes almost no loot difference, so I'll just do it this order. It doesn't matter much. I probably waste too much time trying to get the optimal order for how ridiculously little extra resources it even gives. But I like doing it. Plus, it's good habit for whenever we actually do faction events, because you do want to make sure you do multiplayer order for faction events, especially if you're going for leaderboard. And of course, tomorrow is a faction event. A weekend-long one at that. Okay, we'll take that brown. Get our Mountain Crusher going. Get an Apothecary in there. Any good location? Not really. Just throw it down on everything. Do down to yellows. And get a Tina the Weaver. But yeah, does anyone else have any other questions or anything you want me to go over? Because after this delve, we'll probably head out for the night. And when we come back tomorrow, we'll be going over everything with the new faction. And assuming I wake up at time, which I should, I'll be setting 2 alarm clocks just in case. But tomorrow we'll be waking up in the morning, probably doing a video before we start to stream, just kind of going over the new faction, just doing a bunch of opening and just kind of going over, you know, general team and stuff like that as far as what you would use. And then right after that, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if it goes correctly, which is 13 hours from now, we'll be going and, you know, streaming, messing around with the delve, and see what we can do with it. Okay, so now we go and make our circle, and then we go right down the middle. Okay, we'll take that over for now. Oh, did I leave that brown there? I'm pretty sure I cascaded into that. Whoops. Oh well. Not that big a deal. Throw that over. Get a Mountain Crusher. That should be full mana for the thingy. Let's see. I will throw that down. Get that into another Apothecary. Everything else will kind of just leave there. Put that in there. Get another mountain. And let's see, move that into... Let's do it on blue, I guess. Be right there. Throw another Tina, and then we just Weaver kill it. And that's match. There we go. Okay, next order of business. We'll take this one. Go around the circle. What delve should you be farming now instead of leveling up? Whichever one you have better troops for. Not Warrens. Hall of Guardians is a bit better than All-Seeing Eye, but they're so similar because neither of them have treasure rooms at all, that whichever ones you have better troops for is probably the one you want to do. But that's most likely Hall of Guardians because you can just use Gargoyle for it if you don't have any option. Just spamming Gargoyle. 2 Gargoyle casts is enough to wipe out the battle for every single battle once you have enough stats from the Horde being upgraded. So yeah, actually, I'd probably just say Hall of Guardians. It has a slightly better multiplier. It averages around 0.3 higher multiplier. Plus, it has a better layout. I'll also teach you how to do proper multiplier layout, since it has a really good multiplier layout. Since after you do the first room, you can literally go to any room. So it's really obvious to what the multiplier order is. You just simply do whatever the multiplier order is, since they're already all right in front of you. Because like a lot of these, you have multiple different paths, but with Hall of Guardians, you just go right to the middle, and then you can literally go in any direction. But yeah, I would probably just say Hall of Guardians then. And just run it with like Mountain Crusher, double Gargoyle with something. Or even just double Gargoyle into anything that feeds it mana that you have underneath the color. Like Cockatrice and something else, or whatever you want to roll with it. And if you don't own Gargoyles, just throw some shards at Hall of Guardians and you'll get it within probably a few days of just doing delves. If you don't already own them. Are they adding new achievements tomorrow? No, they only add new achievements with major patches. So next patch will probably bring it in on version 4.4. However, since we literally just got version 4.35 2 days ago, it's probably going to be a while. But no, they only add more achievements on major patches. And the most recent patch was obviously just a mini patch. It was a patch, but it was one of those in-between ones. But yeah, we'll be getting more in about, what should be about a month and a half, 2 months, whenever next update comes. Normally it's around late June or early July. No official date has been given, though. We also have pretty much no clue what's even in the next patch currently. Well, we'll find out soon. By soon, I mean a couple weeks from now, hopefully. And hopefully I'll get to beta test this one as well. They didn't do any beta test for the most recent one because obviously it was barely anything. But I wish they would have gotten some feedback on the menu because they forgot banner on it. How on earth could you forget banner, of all things? Like one of the most useful things that you would want to have on this menu, and they didn't even add banner here. And there's plenty of room for it. You can put it there, you can put it there, you can put it on the sides, you can put it in between, you can put it underneath if you make everything else smaller. But they probably wouldn't want to do that because of mobile. But there's plenty of space. Let's see. What do we take here? Let's go Apothecary it. Because currently there's no way to tell inside a battle what the enemy's banner is, nor your own banner, for that matter. You see it at the beginning of battle. Like, for example, on this screen right here, we can see what the banners are right here. We can see that he's currently running a +2 green, +1 yellow, -1 blue, while we're running a +2 brown, +1 blue, -1 purple. However, there is no way to see this within the battle. Not even on this new menu, it doesn't show it anywhere. At least currently. It is something they will be adding to it. I think it was an oversight on their part that I just completely forgot about. Which wouldn't be the first time. They forgot about something. You do multiplier order from the highest multipliers to the lowest multipliers. You do it based on the your lowest loot to the highest loot, but you do multipliers based on the highest multiplier to the lowest multiplier. If that makes any sense. So basically, if a room gives more loot, you want to take it later. But if it has a higher multiplier, you want to take it earlier. As far as chest percent chance, you basically completely ignore this number. So for example, this number right here, you pretty much just ignore. For the most part, you even just ignore what their effects are. There's only a few effects that you really ever pay attention to. Normally Entangle on Skull, Web on Skull, and that Cedric room that gives 100% gold to all your troops. And there's a few others you might pay attention to. But for the most part, you pretty much don't pay much attention to the effect, especially if you're already planning on doing every room anyways. The chest percent upgrade, you literally completely ignore. This is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter what order you take these in, it will give you the same percent regardless. But it's this one right over here that is always the most important to keep track of. This one right here, as well as whatever loot it says right over here. Also, thank you, Joe, for the donation. Greatly appreciated.
Thanks.
No problem. Glad I could help. And if anyone else has any other questions, feel free. And if anyone else wants to donate links are always in the description. Always greatly appreciated. They help out a lot. Help keep this channel running. I definitely don't make too much money from it, so any donation greatly helps. But thank you, Joe, what's that full name? JoeConnors. Greatly appreciated. But anyways, these are basically the only two fields you normally want to pay attention to. This multiplier number right there, and whatever this loot is. This is a treasure room, so you tend to want to take it towards the later on in the delve. We can tell it's a treasure room. It's kind of hard initially, but basically you'll just know where they are in specific delves. And you can kind of tell if the gold is over 1,000, or if it has like a glory amount over 10. Those are generally like the ones that are pretty obvious to tell that they're treasure rooms. Normally their gold is like 800 plus or 1,000 plus. Those are the ones that you can kind of tell are treasure rooms. But these you generally want to take towards the last. But basically just these multipliers. You want to take the highest ones first, like the 1.3s and stuff like that. And just work your way down to the lower ones, like the 1.15s and other stuff like that, like these smaller ones. But sometimes you have to take a smaller one like this to get to a bigger one. And sometimes, of course, depending on what those multipliers are, it is worth doing that. But yeah, you basically just want to do that. Try taking the highest multipliers, then going for the really big treasure rooms last, and that will optimize your loot. I'm not sure if they actually made a calculator yet on any kind of website that you put all the rooms into and it'll tell you the correct path. I think someone was working on that, though I'm not sure if we actually have that resource currently. But you don't have to always do it perfectly optimally. As long as you save the treasure rooms towards last, and as long as you try, for the most part, going in the highest multiplier order, should be perfectly fine. It doesn't really make too big a difference, even if you don't do it in correct order. What do we take here? Take a green for now. He'll go move us. Oh, no, he didn't move us. Well, this is the final battle, so it doesn't actually matter if he moves us or not. Yeah, does anyone else have any other questions before we wrap up for the night? Because after this battle, I will be calling it a night. Until tomorrow. Tips for the class event for someone with no mythics. You run Mang and Mang Titan, and then you solo everything with Mang Titan, and you do that for basically every event forever. No, but that's basically the backup plan for any event where you don't own anything. I've been doing that a lot on Nintendo Switch. You run Titan, ideally at least level 40, because that's when he gains Berry every Brown, when it starts to become relevant. But you run Titan with the Mang weapon, which you get at 23 Brown, 23 Red Hero Mastery. And that alone is enough to solo pretty much any event in the history of this entire game. It might have a lower win rate, and it might be very slow for some battles. But using Mang, also do it on +5. Don't bother getting it higher than that. If you already have, then you might as well get it to 9. But if you haven't bothered upgrading it yet, you tend to keep it at just +5. Because while not always, it can sometimes be weaker from this one red gem that it creates. It creates one red gem once you get that perk. And that's actually a bad thing more often than not. Also, all weapons take about a second longer to cast once you have these affixes, which over time starts to accumulate to a lot of time. If you're casting Mang like 100 times in an hour, you wasted over a minute or two just from casting Mang because the extra time it adds onto it. But yeah, Mang +5 into Titan hero class can solo pretty much any event. And it can be used for literally every event except for Guild War, other than on... it can be ran for every single delve, or basically, it can be ran for literally everything except for Guild Wars, basically. You just wouldn't want to use it on... You can use it on Brown Guild War Day and Red Guild War Day, but the other 4 you get slightly penalized if you did do it on those days. But for everything other than Guild Wars, you can pretty much run it for whatever you want. It is a little bit slow for some things, though. Like, for example, doing quest lines, you wouldn't want to use it for. It's a bit slow. For quests, it's slow for explore, it's slow for challenges, it's slow for PvP if you're fighting something around your level range, it's slow for arena, but for basically everything else, for class events, it's perfectly fine. For raids, evasions, it's fine. For delves, particularly the later delves, it's fine. And stuff like that. But yeah, if in doubt, run Titan Mang. And that's pretty much going to get you the win for anything. Also, it's really good for running if you can't currently defeat them. Just running Titan Mang against things like dungeons. If you can't currently defeat them, it's really easy to do it with that. Same as pet battles. It might take a while to do a pet battle. It could take like 20-30 minutes. Try doing it with Mang in early game, but it will get it done if you don't currently have any other options. And of course, you could do it for class events if you want to bother with these. So I don't really advise spending gems on class events. I don't even, and I have 17 or 27,000 gems, and I don't even bother doing it. Also, are we seriously 5 gems short? I almost feel like farming 5 gems real quick. Are we seriously 5 gems short? Fine, we'll go do true treasure hunts real quick. Does anyone else have any other question? I kind of want to go get that now. I can't not get to 27 gems. We're so close. If anyone else has any other questions, let me go get 5 gems real quick. It's like the quickest thing we can do to try to get some. Let's see. Because we're about to go below 27,000 again. I was joking about it earlier, but I kind of do want to go get it real quick. It only take about 5 minutes of maps, not even. If we can get lucky on some of these. Just need to get green chests. Where are all the green chests? There we go. Need to make sure they don't become red chests, but I do need as many greens as we possibly can. Yeah, we'll take it that way. Grab that down. That one. Grab it for 5 times. Oh, that's not what I wanted. No! That also cost us a green chest that we could have had there. Oh well. Move that over. Move that. Grab another green. Take it that way. Oh, wait, never mind. That didn't cascade into it. Oh, well, there's another green. There we go. Okay. Come on, gems. You know you want to. Did we just get 0 gems? Okay, maybe we won't bother trying to get those gems. You know what we could go do to go get those gems? Let's go open our gold keys real quick. We're going to get those gems one way or another. This will be the quickest way we can actually gain them. We're not going to bother with treasure hunts. How many did we get? Boom! 3 gems. We almost got them all already. Give us our other 2 gems. Where's our gems? Come on, 2. Boom! 2 gems. Look at that. 400 gold keys already got us all those gems. There we go. And now we're exactly at 27,000. Look at that. Right on the dot. Screenshot that. Boom. Okay, there we go. We got our 27 gems. There was no point in doing that, but I wanted to get to it. Because why not? There we go. It doesn't really matter if we use some gold keys. We obviously have a ridiculously absurd amount of them. But anyways, anyone else have questions? Otherwise, I'll be back in about 12 hours from now, and we'll be going over the new faction. I'll probably have a video up a little bit earlier than that, and yeah, I'll mainly just be messing around with that tomorrow and most of this weekend, going over delve stuff, as it's pretty relevant since we're getting a new delve in 5 hours, 24 minutes. Now, obviously, I won't be covering it until about 10 hours from now, 10 to 12 hours, because I need sleep. And that comes out at like 3 a.m. in the middle of the night for my time zone. But depending on your time zone, you might be able to do it immediately. If you're in the Europe area, it's pretty much right when you wake up in the morning. Let's see. Okay, I don't think anyone else has any other questions, so feel free to leave a like on the stream if you enjoyed. I will catch all of you later. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you all have a good weekend. Hope you all have fun with the next upcoming event. We'll be covering it extensively, mostly tomorrow. And we might cover some other delve-related videos this weekend as well, just in general. But we'll definitely obviously be covering the event on Friday. And hopefully by Saturday or Sunday, we will have this faction at level 500 Peer Faction. So that's the game plan. I'll catch all of you later. Thanks for stopping by. And goodbye, everyone. Good night.